Today, we will speak about different treatment options which are mostly used in developed countries. These are incineration, mechanical biological treatment, and refuse derived fuel. All these solutions require quite a high level of technology. Generally and historically, these solutions were developed with the following objectives. Firstly, the necessity of reducing the quantities of waste which have to be stored in landfill, generally due to the difficulty of finding places for a new landfill for new volume in the neighborhood of big cities. Secondly, for the willingness to use the value of material or of the energy from the waste. And thirdly, for the willingness of reducing the long-term impact on the environment. Incineration allows to use the waste calorific content to create a big heat production, which can be used for electricity production and, in cold countries, for warming the city buildings through an underground heating system. The waste calorific content is strongly varying with the waste characteristics and especially of the plastic and paper content. Generally, richer are the inhabitants, more waste they are producing, and higher is the calorific value of the waste. Incineration is transforming the waste in two main flows: the smoke, or flue gas, and the ashes, where all the heavy metal and acid gas will be concentrated. The slags, which represent some 22% of the initial waste weight, and which have to be landfilled after to have recuperated iron and aluminium. Without treatment, the smoke would strongly pollute the air and the environment with acid and heavy metals. For this reason, the gas treatment is a very important part of the incineration process. This treatment with filters and gas washing system produces ashes and sludge where the heavy metals will be concentrated. In the most modern incineration plants, these metals can be recuperated and recycled. Incineration capacity of a plant is strongly dependent from waste composition and quantities. The investment cost of an incineration plant is very high, and the financial cost represents approximately $50 to $100 per ton. In total, the global cost of an incineration represents some $100 to $200 per ton, which is a very high cost for most of the development countries. In this example, we can show that the revenue of the energy production only represents some 15% of the total cost. There are a lot of different types of mechanical biological process, but they all have the same objectives: to increase the recycling part of the waste through an in-plant treatment and to reduce the proportion of the waste needed to be stored in landfill. General idea is to combine different systems in order to separate the waste in different interesting fractions. There are mechanical systems like crushing, screening, sieving, magnetic system in order to get back the ferrous material, and manual sorting, which allows to recuperate any valuable material like aluminum cans, plastic or other metals. Here we can see a typical recycling plant. On the beginning we can see a reception and storage area where the waste is coming, then a first mechanical sorting installation from which we can take out organic waste and also all the fine material. After, we have a sorting plant, manual, from which different type of material can be taken, and the residual waste are going to the landfill through a transport truck. The efficiency of such a waste sorting plant is much higher with a separate collection of recyclable material. It's not so efficient to treat 100% of the waste in order to separate only 5 to 15% of the waste. It's much better to have a separate collection and then to organize the sorting of good quality recycled material. For that, it is better to have a separate collection through a door-to-door system, or better, with specific collection points where people can bring their recyclable waste in the city. In this case, the recycled material will be of much better quality and will have a better value on the market. But anyway, it is important to notice that experience shows that the collection, treatment, and transport of recycled material is not covered by the selling price of the recycled material. Recycling in plant is an additional cost for the municipality. If the organic fraction is not collected separately at source, the sorting and recycling of the organic material from the waste in a sorting plant is not recommended. The reason is that the organic fraction will be contaminated by the fine element of the waste, where are concentrated the main pollutants like heavy metals. Mechanical treatment is also very much used for the separation and recycling of the construction waste. The main idea of the refuse-derived fuel system is to consider the waste as an energy source, which can be used as an alternative fuel in substitution of primary fossil fuel such as gas, coal, or oil. For that objective, it is necessary to process and transform the waste in order to produce a solid fuel having the highest possible calorific content. Then, this alternative fuel can be stored and used. Most common user is the cement industry. This production requires a series of mechanical treatments of the waste, combined sometimes with manual sorting. Then we have concentrate all the most interesting part of the waste with the maximum calorific value, like plastic, papers, cardboards, and this goes through a shredder to be prepared for the storage. The cost of such system represents 25 to 50 US dollar per ton. Other separately collected waste are also used as fuel in cement industry, like tires, solvents, waste oil, industrial waste, or agriculture organic waste. The economic interest of the refuse-derived fuel is directly depending of the fuel cost, but also of the transport distances to the cement plant and to the landfill. Other important point is the technical investment the cement plant has to do for accepting the derived fuel and respect the legislation. For the moment, the refuse-derived fuel system has not known a big development. Important reason is that generally the cement industry prefers other type of waste with higher calorific content and better stability, like tires, waste oil, or solvent. In conclusion, we can say that all these alternative treatment options can reduce the quantity of waste to be landfilled, but they generate an additional cost. Treatment, transport costs are generally not covered by the value of recycled material or energy. In-plant manual sorting of the urban waste creates health and safety hazard to workers and should be avoided. Priority should be given to the at-source recycling and separate collection.